In today's video, I want to discuss the victim from Pennsylvania that has previously been linked to Bryan Kohburger. Her name is Dana Smithers, and let's talk about her.
Someone doesn't just disappear. You don't just vanish out of the air and are never seen again.
Dana Smithers has been missing for nearly a month
everyone.
now.
Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Amanda, and I like to research true crime cases and come back here to discuss the details with you. Like I said in the intro, we will be talking about Dana Smithers today. She has previously been linked in the public to Bryan Kohburger, mostly, I believe, through his parents who were called to testify at a grand jury that is said to have been regarding the case of Dana Smithers. So since then, there has been some talk in the true crime community and other news sources, excuse me, basically that there could be some link there, and we're going to discuss the case today because I feel a lot of people talk about Bryan Kohburger and other things like that, but I haven't heard Dana Smithers and her case talked about other than possibly the link between them. Now, grand jury proceedings are usually kept secret. Sometimes we do find out some details during the trial that were said during the grand jury, but usually the public isn't privy to anything that the grand jury talks about. The lawyers and the prosecution may get some transcripts if requested, but that usually has nothing to do with the public. Usually we don't even know what comes out of grand jury, or sometimes even if a grand jury is convened, unless the person is indicted after the grand jury or indicted by the grand jury, basically. Now, as I said, I really haven't heard too much talk about Dana herself and her story. Just a small bit, like her name, where she's from, and the link of the man who shall not be named. I don't want to say his name too much during this case because this case is not about him. It's about Dana. It appears that Bryan was living in the area around the time of Dana's disappearance, so this has brought up some theories that Bryan could be responsible for anything that happened to Dana. For those of you who aren't familiar with his name, Bryan Kohburger, he was arrested for murdering the Forge College students in Moscow, Idaho in November of 2022. There has been a ton of media coverage about Bryan and the King Road murders, but not that much about Dana. So 45-year-old Dana Christine Smithers was raised in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, which is located near the Poconos, which I guess is considered a resort community. Is not something I thought about it previously, but I do live in New York, and I do get notifications from Groupons because I live near the Poconos. So I could see that that is a resort community, especially if you're growing up in it. Now, at the time of her disappearance, she was living with her mother and her youngest daughter, who was just 7 years old at the time. Dana does also have two older children, a son and a daughter who are in their early 20s. Now, Dana's sister, Stacy, seems to be the main person advocating for Dana. She's the one who seems to get her name out there, tries to talk to the public to get some answers about what happened to her sister. Stacy would tell Dateline that Dana was gregarious and that she had a very boisterous laugh. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that Dana has struggled with substance abuse in the past, but at this point, no one in her life has said that they believe this is why she disappeared. I only mention this because Dana's case is still unsolved, and while foul play is possible, it's not the only option out there. So I just want to mention it as it could have something to do with the case. Not saying that it does, but unfortunately sometimes substance abuse can take us down dark paths, dark areas. We're not really sure. Her cause of death hasn't been released as of this recording. But like I said, I just wanted to mention it very quickly because it could unfortunately come out that this could have something to do with it. But I will trust the family's gut intuition when they say that they don't think this had anything to do with it because they know her. They knew her. They knew what she was like when it was a part of her life and when it was not. So I'm going to trust their instincts and go with that. But again, wanted to mention it. Also, as I will get into a little bit later, Dana left behind a few things that even if she was going out to do things like substances that you usually take with you. But again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about the last day Dana was seen, May 28th, 2022. There was a festival in the area. It's reported that she went to a festival at Happy Bar and Grill, but I didn't see what this actually was. A festival for a bar and grill is not something I've ever heard of before, but it was the last thing reported that she went to. If you're from the area and you've heard of this, is this something big where you're from? Let me know in the comments, because I'm definitely generally interested to know, because it's not something that I'm used to seeing here in upstate New York. But back to Dana. So she went to this festival with her youngest daughter and her daughter's father. Remember, her daughter was 7, so I feel like a festival for a 7-year-old, right there for it. It's reported that Dana and her daughter's father were no longer together at this time, but they had a pretty amicable relationship. So the three of them went to the festival where they danced and socialized with friends, neighbors, people of the area. After all three left the festival, they went back to Dana's home, where it was reported Dana decided to walk to her friend Tara's house, which was just 3 houses down the road from hers, to see if Tara wanted to come back to her house and hang out on the patio. Tara would say that when Dana came to her house, she basically told her that she was going to bed and had no interest going down her house to hang out on the patio. She would tell Dateline that Dana would smoke a cigarette while the two talked for a moment, and then Dana would leave to walk back to her house. It was confirmed by Tara's Ring camera that at 11:05 p.m., Dana left with her phone in hand, and this would be the last confirmed sighting of her. It was weird for Dana to just disappear without telling anyone, and to make matters a little bit worse, her keys, daily medication, and the cell phone that she was seeing on the Ring camera was found back at her home. So after she left her friend's home at 11, she must have returned home, and from there she disappeared, and no one has seen her since. Stacy and her mother knew something was up when Dana wasn't around for Memorial Day, which was just a few days after. Remember, it was May 28th that she was last seen. So the following day, the family attempted to report her missing to the Strouds Area Regional Police, but they were told, as we've heard many times before, Dana was an adult and she could leave if she wanted to. Police did not take a report at this time, but said that they would note her disappearance and basically be on the lookout for her. It wasn't until June 5th, 2022, when the police took a missing person report for Dana and the investigation into her disappearance really began. Police spoke to Tara, the friend who was the last person to see Dana, and she said that looking back at Dana, she would say that Dana smoking that cigarette would have indicated maybe that she was nervous or anxious about something, but she didn't think this was the last time that she was going to see Dana, so she didn't really push the situation. Another friend of Dana's was interviewed and told police that she saw Dana a few days before she went missing, when Dana told her that she was headed down to the pool to get a season pass for the upcoming summer months, because she said that it was much more expensive to pay by the day than to buy like the season pass, so it's cheaper. This gives some indication to her family that she did not just give up and leave, that she planned on being around for the next few months at the very least, because who would spend their money on a season pass if they planned on, unfortunately, unaliving themselves or making some sort of plan to not be around. Dana was also seen at a tanning salon the day before she went missing, where the attendant there said that Dana acted like her normal everyday self and nothing was done or said to indicate that something was bothering her or that she would be disappearing or anything that could cause her to disappear. And she saw another friend right before heading to the festival, where Dana was described as acting again her normal self, and said that she would see her friend later on in the evening at the event. All these things rolled together give Dana's family the thought process that she did not do anything to herself and she did not plan on leaving for any reason. Stacy would say that it wouldn't be the first time that Dana stayed out overnight and didn't tell her parents or her sister where she was staying, because again, Dana was 45 years old and she didn't really report to her parents like that, but it was unusual for her to leave medication that she needs on a daily basis and her cell phone behind. Tara, Dana's friend, who lived a few houses down, when asked about her substance abuse, said that she didn't believe that Dana was using again, and if she was, she believes that Dana felt comfortable enough with her to tell her that she was using again. I don't want to say using again. I'm not exactly sure what the substance that she was in that cycle again. As far as searching for her, police did do a search at a park near Dana's home on June 22nd, 2022, but unfortunately nothing was found. Then, unfortunately, the case basically went quiet, at least in the news realm, until a decomposed body was found in a wooded area near the Park Ave exit ramp off of the 80 East Highway on April 27, 2023, as in a few months ago. At 11:22, a borough employee would call 911 to report finding what they assumed would be human remains. It was confirmed through dental records on May 1st during her autopsy that it was unfortunately Dana that they found. There has been no cause of death listed at the time of recording this video. The last I saw, they are still waiting on a toxicology report, and sometimes those could take a while, unfortunately, and depending on what they found, they may not release it out. So I wasn't going to cover this case, but while reading an article about a possible link to Kohburger, I saw that Stacy, her sister, wanted any extra coverage they could get. And although a lot of people are talking about how Bryan's parents testified at the grand jury hearing, but not about Dana. So I thought it would be good to highlight Dana because people are looking for answers to what happened to her, and she deserves answers. Stacy would tell Dateline that she knows now that she would have fought harder for the police to take her more seriously. And we see this way too often in true crime. Before I started really listening to true crime cases and I knew it was like a genre and a thing, I think that you wouldn't know how hard you have to fight in order to get the police to pay attention when it could be something serious. Although there are some police forces out there and some police officers who really do take missing persons cases very seriously, there are a lot, unfortunately, who do not, and you can't report people missing for 24, 48 hours when we know these are the most important hours. I'm looking into the Freeman family / Bible murder, which I'm sure you guys have all heard about. But it seems like the police really failed in that case, and you never know if you could have saved them if they actually did their job within the first few days. I may cover that later at some point. I enjoy the research. We'll get into that another day. But back to Dana and this case. The Stroud Area Regional Police released a statement on May 24th, 2023 that stated there was no evidence linking Bryan Kohburger to the death of Dana Smithers. If you have any information that may be helpful in finding out what happened to Dana, please contact Detective Robert Transue. I'll put his email and the phone number of 570-421-6800, extension 1027 in the links below. I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to me tell this story, and to please make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel. I should have said that in the beginning, but you know how that goes. And if you're listening to the podcast form, please make sure you leave a review. It would really help me out, and I'm really trying to push to grow. I know I've taken some time off. I can get into that a little bit later. We've had some family come to town. Unfortunately, my uncle passed away. A lot of things were happening as a family, but hopefully I'm getting more into the swing of things. So please make sure to like and subscribe so you are notified when I put out videos, or you can find me on True Crime with Amanda. I know my podcast. True Crime with Amanda on most podcast forms. You can reach out to me on Instagram, or you could try Twitter, but Twitter's not really my thing. Instagram, I'm on Facebook. All the links I can post in the description box. And on that note, until the next video, stay safe out there. The world can be an ugly place.